Welcome to the Preserving Family Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to equip you to gain insight, information, and inspiration to help you protect, teach, and guide your family during these turbulent times. Our goal is to provide tools and resources to help you strengthen and preserve your own marriages and families. Now here are your hosts, Dr. Mark and Janie Ogletree.
Well, everyone, welcome. We're so grateful that you're here with us today. Thanks for being part of our podcast. I am excited to have a super good friend here with us today. My good friend Matt Cook from Idaho. He's come all the way down from Idaho on his bike to share some words of wisdom with us.
We're happy to be here.
So, Matt, tell our listeners a little bit about you and your family.
Okay, so I'm married. My wife and I have been married for over 3 decades. We have 5 kids. About to have our 4th grandchild, hopefully tonight.
That's what brings you to Provo,
yeah,
right?
That's why we're here. We're here. She's sort of stalled out in the hospital. Hopefully things get moving here quick.
Yeah. A little castor oil will do it.
I'll tell her that.
Well, I have Matt's a stake president up in Idaho. He's an attorney. He owns some businesses. But I remember Matt because we grew up in the same neighborhood in Houston, Texas, and I have like 5 awesome stories about him. And I don't know which one is my favorite, but probably my favorite is the one where you threw the rock at the car.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wait, has the statute of limitations passed on that?
It's so past. It's so gone now. And then you just heard, I was inside the house and I heard skid marks. And then you just came running in the house and you just go, I'm dead.
Well, to be clear, it was not a rock. It was a tennis ball.
Okay, tennis ball. There you go. That
no,
actually
no permanent
it.
damage.
So there, yeah, it just bounced off. It was like a Nerf. It was a Nerf.
Yes.
Anyway, so, well, Matt, so glad that you're here. We're going to dive into the topic today. We definitely want to tackle and address the issue of, social media, cell phone use, our teenagers. We're super worried about that group of youth. And so how did you kind of become interested in this topic of phones and how they're affecting us?
Well, I didn't really get into the hard data until in the last probably 12 months or so, but just sort of anecdotally, I have seen, starting in 2008, I was made a bishop. After that, I was a stake young men's president, and then I got put into my current calling, which is stake president. And so in all of those callings, so literally since 2008, all I've done is work with youth. Right. Which is ironically about the time the iPhone came out. And social media came out a couple of years, it wasn't immediately after the iPhone,
Kind of follows after, yeah.
At least the phone-based social media, yeah. And so you just, like many of us, I have seen just increasing avalanche of anxiousness in kids, anxiety, depression, all kinds of they just have a little more difficult time coping. And then as a stake president, the number of missionaries that I deal with, either that come home early or that perhaps are struggling once they get out on their mission. You talk to their mission presidents a lot, and I don't know what it was like in 2008 because I wasn't in this calling then. Yeah. But it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a big problem, and it's affecting families. It's affecting our youth in so many different ways. So Matt, I know you've heard of the book, The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. Great book. We recommend it to all. But what are some things that you gleaned from that book as you were kind of getting into some of the research of how all this is impacting our youth?
So really, if you look at almost any reliable data that they have, that data show that that starting around 2009, the incidence of all kinds of mental illness for this current generation, which he calls the anxious generation, it just started increasing. And what happened in that era? Well, the iPhone had been out for a couple years. High-speed internet became ubiquitous, and then the onslaught of social media.
All of a sudden, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, right?
And then they figured out that that stupid like and share button just changed the game for them. It just made kids addicted to it. And so that generation, as he points out, kind of became the very first generation in history that went through puberty with the device in their pocket. And it took them away from the real world and the things that when we ran around as kids, riding bikes through the woods and,
building
killing
tree houses.
Building trees, all those things. That was exciting for us. Now sort of the things that are exciting and addicting and are things that are harmful to kids, and they're all in their pocket.
And Matt, this is kind of interesting because here you and I both grew up in the same neighborhood in the suburbs of Houston,
Yep.
where it was probably, 105 degrees every summer day.
Very humid.
And 99% humidity. But I literally remember as a kid, and this is in the 70s and early 80s, but we played outside all day long, right?
That's exactly right.
I mean, all day long. Mom had to call you in with a dinner bell.
Yeah.
And then here's Jonathan Haidt saying that, yeah, we went from this play-based childhood, which is how you and I grew up, now to a phone-based childhood.
Which is exactly right. And I think his quote in the book is something like, this generation that he calls the anxious generation, they've been overprotected in the real world,
yeah,
while being underprotected in the virtual world, and the data is clear on that.
Right.
Yeah. So you think about what a lot of parents are like now in the real world. Like you won't let your kid ride a bike unless it has a helmet on, right? We're just like, in the book, it's great. Remember those whirly things that you got on and spun? What was it called?
Oh, you mean at the park? The
merry-go-round? The merry-go-rounds of the park that you'd get going about 100 miles an hour and someone would fall off.
And remember, that was the goal. The goal was,
yeah,
hey, who's going to go to the hospital?
That's right.
We'll get my brother. Okay, let's get him on
and
there.
And he would, and it was fine. We don't do that anymore. Now we send our kids out literally in bubble wrap, and the helicopter parent they've taken away what is probably called being a free range child. And now, and so we've overprotected our kids. But those same parents will hand their kid a phone completely unprotected, download Snapchat, download Instagram, download these crazy programs, and say, hey, have fun.
Yeah.
It's literally like we're handing them a
loaded gun,
loaded, cocked, and say, hey, please don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Like, hey, please don't look at porn on Snapchat. Yeah, right.
Right.
They're going to hurt themselves, and they have been.
Matt, any other data that you came across that you thought, oh, this is kind of interesting?
Well, I don't have the hard numbers in front of me, but just sort of a high level, the amount of major depressive episodes have exploded in this generation over the last 15 years. This generation has just a massive explosion in self-harm. And it used to be a boy problem. It's a girl problem now as well.
Yeah.
And another thing that his book highlights is that social media tends to have more harm on young women, and young men are getting the harm. Not that they're not getting it from social media, they are, but gaming and those platforms seem to do more harm to young men.
I remember, Matt, years ago, I was in a counseling session, and this was probably 10 years ago or so, but the mother and father were concerned because their 12-year-old boy was having nightmares and just having all kinds of disturbances, anxiety, panic. And I was just trying to probe and figure out what's going on. I mean, and I was asking him the questions. And then one day I just had this hunch and I asked this boy, I said, do you play video games? And he said, yeah, why? And I go, how often do you do that? And he goes, pretty much all day. Like when I get home from school, I do it until midnight or so. And once again, like you said a minute ago, no monitoring at all from parents. And then, of course, all weekend. And so then I called his parents in and asked them the same question. And they admitted that they didn't monitor what he was doing on video games. And I said, what if we just got rid of that? What if there was no video games now for a while? And let's watch how that affects his mental health. And sure enough, goes off video games, and within a few weeks, he's fine. I mean, he's good again. But that kind of media can have a huge impact on our young men, no question about it.
You'll see, I mean, you read it in the book too, that same thing happened when you took social media away from young men, young women. Yeah. It had an instant improvement in their health, mental health.
Yeah.
So at least according to the data that he highlights.
Sure.
There is a debate on whether, the rise of social media and phones is correlated to anxiousness in kids, or if it's a cause of it. Like, this debate of correlation versus causation is a legitimate debate. Yeah. Not one I can speak to, because I'm not a scientist or a statistician in any way, but I know what I observe. I know what I've seen working with kids during this entire time since iPhones came out. Right.
So. And it's interesting, Matt, but there are researchers out there doing a lot of good work on this topic. And they are, I mean, the data that's coming forth right now is and Jonathan Haidt would be at the forefront of all that, but just the plummeting of the mental health of our nation's adolescents and the relationship between that and how many hours a day they're on a phone it's pretty incredible. Yeah. Okay, so one question is, okay, what do we do? What do parents do? I think, Matt, you and your family have kind of an interesting take on how you kind of took matters in your own hands up in Idaho.
Yeah.
Kind of the John Wayne of Idaho. Here we go.
Well, most solutions that you hear in terms of public policy are ones similar to what Jonathan Haidt put in his book, that, what are things that parents can do together if they band together? What are things that governments could and should do? What can schools do, like, making school-free, phone-free schools, or, what should parents do? Anyway, there's some good policy discussions that many like him have had, but we felt like there was no way to really solve the problem unless kids just simply grew up without social media.
Yeah.
And so several years ago, we have our youngest daughter just graduated from high school in 2024. As she was entering high school, which was for our older kids, that's when we allowed them to get social media.
Yeah.
We went to her and we said, Isabel, we'll make you an offer. We'll give you $1,000 on the day you graduate if you give up social media. Like, not give it up, but don't. And
it's just social media. It's
just
not
social media.
Yeah.
We let her have her iPhone. We locked her iPhone down, so like she could only get on certain websites. It was whitelisted, and she's a good girl. Most kids can find workarounds. She's just not that kind of girl. She wouldn't do that. She made a deal.
She's the kind of girl that would probably go to Mexico on a mission.
Yeah,
right?
She is. She will. That's right. So that's what we did. She accepted the offer. We told her at any time you can back out during high school if you feel like you're being left out or something. Anytime. It's like, it wasn't forced on her. It was her decision.
Right.
So she took us up on that offer. $1,000 to the then 8th grader is a lot of money.
Right.
It is to anybody, but especially when you're in 8th grade. And so we just did that through high school and monitored it. And I think if you were to ask her how it went, she didn't really feel like I asked her just this morning, knowing I was coming here. I was like, Isabel, did you feel like you were left out in high school? And she said no. Partly because she was very active. She played all the sports. She was on student council. So she was kind of in the know. She had a friend group.
She was a popular girl. We should let everyone know that this wasn't like she was. She has a lot of friends and she's well known. Yeah,
she was on a state winning basketball team. She was on student council. I think she was the homecoming queen her senior year. She was.
So this is an outstanding girl that's very involved.
But so she went through that, and my wife particularly was worried about whether she would be sort of left out, not invited to parties or events, and so my wife was pretty close at monitoring that to make sure, and we didn't have to do anything about it. She seemed to be healthy and happy, and so we would just periodically ask her, like, do you still want to do this? And she kept saying, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
prior to her graduating, we were sitting around one night and she mentioned to us that she was talking to her friends because all her friends knew that she didn't have social media, and the only way to get hold of her was to send her a standard text message.
Yeah.
And she mentioned that her friends told her that had they been offered that, they would have taken that deal. Like they kind of were lamenting that fact, because like, social media is not that great, and look at all these things we don't like about it.
Yeah.
And that kind of got our wheels spinning at that point. So then on the day she graduated, we gave her $1,000, and we have a funny picture of her in her gown. Incidentally, we also offered her another $1,000 if she didn't have a steady boyfriend for high school.
Way to go!
Which she did, and so she got $2,000 at high. We have this hilarious picture at dinner after graduation, still in her cap and gown with this big block. I got it all in brand new $1 bills.
Oh, really? Wow!
And handed it to her. It was so funny. So, and then she got a boyfriend that night.
Yeah, that's usually how it works.
That's how it worked.
Yeah. We've had a few of those in our house too. So, wow, super cool, Matt. And so then you kind of decide to take this, kind of go a little broader with this. Tell us about that.
So at our business, we have a foundation that we started a few years ago. I own some car dealerships up there. It's the Goody Motor Education Foundation, and we're always looking for things to do to help our local community. And based on this idea that maybe we could bribe kids to not get social media, we went to the freshman class at Burley High School, big old burly. It's a class size of, I don't know, maybe 200 kids, I think is all. And we made a presentation similar to what we were just talking about. We kind of showed them the data of what's happening to their generation, and stood in front of them and made them an offer.
By the way, Matt, was that hard to get into the school? I mean, was that?
Not at all. Well, we in a small town, you just know everyone. We know the principals really well. Okay. We went all through the summer. We went and talked to the principal, told him our idea. He had to go to the school board and see if it was okay. So they have a freshman orientation the first week of school every year that the parents are supposed to be at. So we had this big assembly hall with all the freshman class and their parents. And they gave me 10 minutes. So I stood up and did the best I could sort of outline some of the data showing them that they're about their generation. And then just made a pitch and gave them the same offer that I gave Isabel when she was entering high school. We said, look, you're all starting high school. If you'll go off social media, give it all up, we'll give you $1,000. For them, we told them it wasn't going to be on the day of graduation. We told them it would be right before Christmas, their senior year.
Yeah.
Thinking that if they're going to get social media, it would be better for them to have it while they're still in the home and can learn how to use it that last semester while they're home before they go off to whatever they're going to do. And so it was pretty funny. There's actually a video of it on our foundation's webpage. If you fast forward to the section where we made the offer, I mean, the kids just went berserk. Like, what? It was just all this commotion.
It's like they were on a game show or something.
It was.
By the way, Matt, what's the website?
It's that one's the digitaldetoxchallenge.org.
Digitaldetoxchallenge.org. Great.
Yeah, we have our foundation website is different, but that's the one we use because, as I'm sure we'll explain the details of the challenge here, we put some limits on it. And so we administer the program through this website.
So Matt, give us some more details on how you actually made this work. This is fascinating.
So what we did is we gave them that offer. We gave them a couple weeks. They had to go consult with their parents about it. We gave them all the information on our website and in paper form. Basically, the student and the parent had to agree to the rules. They had to come physically sign a form. And then they had to give up a traditional phone, like they can't go to their iPhone or whatever. And we went down and met with Gab, which is headquartered here in Utah, and they were very generous about they gave us their very best phone. And they just gave it to us, and so that we could hand off to any of these kids. And any kid who signed up had to use what we considered to be an approved phone. And we did some testing, and the Gab phone was one of a couple phones that we approved. The reason we like that Gab phone is because it has a lot of the church apps, has all the typical school apps that you need, like Band and Power School and stuff like that. So they can still access communications. They can still text their parents. They can still call. They can still listen to streaming music. They just can't have social media.
Right.
And so they couldn't, some parents came and said, well, I can lock my iPhone down really good. Which I did with Isabel. And we just had to draw a line in the sand and said, no, we know you probably can, but
they can get around anything is what I've learned.
It's exactly right. And you're free to make the deal with your kid. You give them $1,000 and give them an iPhone if you want to.
If that's what you want to do.
But our program is you have to be on an approved phone, Gab being one of them. There's a couple others that we approved. And then they have to quarterly, both the student and the parent has to attest that they're continuing to live the program. And they can get out anytime. And so quarterly, all the students have to go in, and we make it super simple. We actually simply send them a text and said, hey, Johnny, you signed up. You said you're going to abide by it. Text back yes or no if you're still doing it. And they text us back, and then the parents do the same. So it was pretty cool. This is our very first year. We had just about a 10% take rate is all.
Yeah. And so 10% of the student body.
Yes. Of the freshman class.
The freshman class bought in.
Yeah. And I think the lesson there that we discovered, our board, our foundation board consists of myself, my wife, and some family members and business partners. But what we determined is that by the time they're freshmen, it's probably too late. Like next year, we're going into the 7th grade class. Yeah. We're going to start in 6th or 7th grade. And next year, we'll actually probably make the same offer to the 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. and see what kind of take rate we get, because you got to get them younger. I mean, as you probably know, 6th and 7th grade students now have unlocked iPhones in their pocket. It's insane.
According to the research you and I have read, they're getting those phones as early as 1st and 2nd grade. So Matt, I have 2 questions for you that I think some of our listeners may be interested in. One would be kind of the rate of attrition.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one would be if you've had any data coming back on that. And the other would be just, $1,000 probably today isn't, like you said, for us, for you and I, back in the 1980s or 90s, $1,000, we probably could have gone and bought a house.
That's right.
Not really. But, $1,000 today, you wonder if the incentive pull is there. So how would you address those 2 questions?
So on the attrition, we launched this in September. The end of the year was our first sort of check-in. And to my knowledge, nobody opted out.
Yeah.
If there was, it would have been 1, maybe 2.
Yeah.
So far, so good, but we're only 4 months into it.
Yeah.
Our next one we'll be doing here in the next probably 30 days or so. So we might have some better data then. In terms of, we did certainly want to address the $1,000 isn't enough. And the reason we even knew that going in is as we were piloting this with some of our nieces and nephews and asking them if they would do this. A couple of them were like, yeah, I'd do that. And a couple of them, particularly boys, were like, $1,000 isn't enough.
Yeah.
So the way we address that is that, we have a actual 501c3, our foundation, donations made to that are tax deductible. So we have a way when they sign up through our website, they can go to their grandparents or a loved one or their own parents, and they can say, look, Goody Motor Education Foundation is giving $1,000 if I do that. What if you match that?
Yeah.
And so grandma can go in and make a donation to the Goody Motor Education Foundation, earmark it for her grandson. So now if he or she goes through the program, that they'll have that money as well. So
there is a way to kind of build the incentive a little bit.
I mean, we only have so much in terms of our own resources that we're willing to put out, because we would like to expand this, and so we want to use that money to make sure. We think $1,000 is a very fair offer.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's a way that in a tax friendly way that these kids can have other people donate to the cause, and be for them.
So Matt, is this sustainable? I mean, where do you go from here? I mean, do you expand? What are you guys looking at in terms of kind of your business model?
Yeah. Well, we built our website and the model so that it could be scaled. We wanted to make it so that, let's say that someone in Florida found out about this.
Right.
And they had someone down there that wanted to donate the money for that school. They could run it through our foundation. We have everything in place, so that they could register the kids, monitor the kids, have the money donated tax as a 501c3, and we would administer everything. So I mean, we're not out like actively seeking funds. That's not really what we're about. We're not trying to like go make this a global initiative. We hope that it sets a model, because when the
others can replicate,
that can be either they can replicate, or we'll run it for them. Like we'd be happy to do it for Klein High School in Harris County, Texas. If someone there, we just don't have the funds to do every high school we want. But so for us, we're going to expand it in our own community. We did it for 1 high school in our area. There's actually 5 high schools nearby. And so our plan is to go younger, like I mentioned earlier, which will expand the pool. That's what our plan is this next year, and launch to a couple other schools in the area. So we're going to throw a bunch of resources at it ourselves that we can afford. We hope that it just becomes another tool in the belt for people around, because it's not enough to have phone-free schools, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's not enough for governments to say have age verification for social media. Those are good ideas. I have nothing wrong with them, but it doesn't solve the problem. What happens when you leave school? What happens when you get around the age verification, which I'm sure can be done? The problem is more, it's more at the core. And so while all the solutions that you read about, whether it's in the book The Anxious Generation or any other book, they don't get at the core. Like, they got to get them off social media, get them out in the real world.
Yeah.
Not just like limit it to a couple hours a day. Like, get them the heck off and get them back in the real world. And when their brains are a little more mature, it's not that social media is inherently evil. I mean, it has some really great things about it, but when their brain is forming it, it just rewires their brain. And so we hope that this model is something that can be replicated, copied, improved upon.
Yeah.
Or maybe a state government can come out. I mean, why couldn't the state of Utah come out? They've got the money.
Yeah.
Why can't they offer $1,000 to every kid who does this?
Right.
I think they do it, or state of Idaho. I mean, that would be powerful.
That would be very powerful. And, Matt, I was thinking as you were talking, that the greatest monitoring for anyone is self-monitoring, right?
Yeah.
But the problem is when you're 12 or 13 or self-monitoring with something like this is just not going to work, right? I mean, we sometimes think, okay, our youth are just not mature enough to monitor cell phone use. Well, I know a lot of adults that aren't able to do that themselves. So the next level in my mind would be parental monitoring, right? And so parents really have to step up here to the plate and be involved. If you're going to get your child a cell phone, you need to also understand everything that goes with that, and you have to be willing to monitor that.
That's right.
The other thing that I would say, because I know that there may be some who are listening that would say, wait a minute. So you're bribing your kids. And here's my answer. No, you're not. A bribe is when you give someone the money before the performance, right? A reward is when they receive the reward, or they receive the money after the performance is done. So I don't want anyone out there to get mixed up on the difference between bribing your children and rewarding them. The scriptures are full of rewards. If we keep the commandments, we'll be blessed. I mean, you'll see patterns like that. The entire Book of Mormon is built on that whole premise of, if you keep the commandments, you will prosper in the land. Not if you prosper in the land, we'll give you tons of cash.
That's right.
Before you do it.
That's right. Well, and I think the reason we also like this setup is because it preserves their choice. It's always their choice. Just like with Isabel, all throughout high school, we kept saying, "Are you still okay? You can back off of this. You can jump off this train anytime.
Yeah,
we don't care.
Yeah,
we'll let you get social media anytime. I mean, you're going to have the normal restrictions that your older siblings had with time and stuff like that. But anyway, the kids, it's their choice. They can jump off that train anytime.
Yeah.
It's their choice.
And we like that. They're not handcuffed to this. Right. So, Matt, I'm sure a lot of people are kind of wondering what I'm thinking right now. And that is, how easy it would be for these kids to just lie, right? To just lie.
For sure.
Do you have like a lie police out there? What do you have?
No, we don't have the capability to go monitor all the social media sites to see if they're really on or not. And the way we address that issue is we just told them flat out, like, you can lie to us if you want. You can sign up for the Digital Detox Challenge. You can attest every quarter that you're living, that you're staying off social media on your phone, on your Chromebook, whatever. And if you do that the whole time, we're going to pay you the $1,000, even if you lied every single time.
Wow.
And because our thought was, look, you're becoming adults. We trust you. If you, and frankly your parents, if both of you lie to us for 4 years almost, just to get some money,
to get $1,000,
then we're going to pay you the money, and guess what? You get to live with that the rest of your life. Yeah. You get to live the rest of your life knowing that as a teenager, you're a liar.
That you stole $1,000.
You'll know that. We will never know it, but you will, and you have to live with that.
Yeah.
And if you can be bought for only $1,000, that's on you, not on me.
Yeah.
That's what we literally told them.
That's a great way to say it. Okay, Matt. So, we like to tell people that LDS could be an acronym for Let's Do Something. You got a thought of kind of an invitation that we could give those who are listening? Is there just one thing we could do based on what you've shared with us today?
It'd be hard to do. It depends on what setting you're in. If you're an adolescent, I would consider getting off social media for your own good. If you're a parent, you have to understand what's really going on. And when I say what's really going on, you have to understand the absolute harm that social media does to kids. And you can't just bury your head in the sand and hope, my kid's a good kid. He or she won't get involved with that. They will, and they are.
Yeah.
And if you're doing nothing about it, you've got to do something. And there's a lot of ideas out there. Ours is just one of many. But you have to do something.
Yeah.
So
let's do something. You have to do something. And one, just to share a thought, Matt, after you've said that, but just when you think of pornography, and if you're in our generation, which means you're in your 50s, you're in your 60s, you're thinking of nude photos.
Yeah.
You're not recognizing that when our youth today say pornography, it's the most lewd, graphic videos of the worst, horrific sexual acts a person could ever see. You have those images in your mind. You're scarred for the rest of your life. I mean, this is a big deal. And so, yes, parents, let's do something for sure. Let's monitor those phones. Jonathan Haidt in his book talks about that if it was up to him, our teenagers wouldn't have social media until they're 16 years old, which
I think is too young.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that personally.
Yeah, you think it needs
but I
to
don't,
be
he's
a
the
little bit
scientist, not me.
So. Yeah. That's why he makes the big bucks.
That's right.
That's why he wrote a bestseller. We haven't yet, but
well, on that front too, just maybe the closing thought.
Yeah.
Just from my vantage point of sitting in the stake president's office and interviewing usually young men that are going out on missions, the way they access pornography now, it's on their handheld 100% of the time. It's not, it used to be when the computers and internet first came out.
It's not a bulky desktop computer or even a laptop.
And the gateway is typically social media.
Yeah.
Snapchat was designed. I mean, it was designed for young men to access pornography.
Yeah.
That's what I've been told. I believe it. So again, parents, when I say just they should go do something, I don't mean just like they need to understand the problem, they need to believe the problem, and they have to take action with their kids. If they just let their kids have a wide open phone unprotected, they are giving their kid a revolver with 6 bullets in it, chamber cocked, the trigger's cocked, ready to blow. It's going to damage their kids 100% of the time.
I agree, Matt. Well, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being our guest today and for some of these awesome insights and thoughts. And hopefully this has been provoking enough for all of us to think, okay, what more can we do? What can we do to help our youth? Everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we look forward to seeing you and being with you next time.